Hello, welcome back. This is sixth grade ELA. I am Miss Kelly. I'll be your teacher for today. And I have this handy dandy little thing that I would, under normal circumstances, put on my face. Anybody knows what this is? Any reminders? Any idea? It's a mask. It's something we wear a lot here in Louisiana, especially around Mardi Gras. You know, people wear masks, But think about, why do people wear masks or wear a mask? It's to hide something, right? To hide who they are. Because oftentimes when someone has this on, you can't really see their full face and you don't know who it is. But when you remove it, then you can determine who it is. Have you ever worn something like this? Have you ever worn a mask? Pretended to be something you're not? Maybe wanted people to think you were one thing, but you were really something else? Well, in today's lesson, we're going to be reading a story about a girl. The book is called The Witch of Blackbird Pond. I know what you're thinking. The little girl is not a witch. The book is so misleading in a sense because you would think it's about the girl in terms of her being a witch, but it's not. But it's about a perception, a possible mask of who people think she is and who she really is. And so this book is by the author Elizabeth George Spear. It's set way back in the times of Puritans and Quakers, and oh my goodness, it is so engaging. It's about this girl who takes this trip. She leaves her beautiful home in Barbados, the sun, the wind, the surf, the water, and she travels to Connecticut, to her aunt's home, to a family that she's never really met, she's only heard of. She comes unannounced, and she has to deal with her identity, who she wants to be and who they think she is, who they consider her to be. Identity is going to be the main crux of what we talk about today in today's lesson. So let's jump into it. All right, so I'm going to read a story, or not even a story, a poem. It's called The Road Not Taken, and it's by Robert Frost. It's a very famous poem, so I put this up just for a visual. And so I want to read this real quick. It says, "Two roads diverge in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveler long as I stood, and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for the passing there, had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference." Robert Frost. Interesting poem, right? This poem is about choices. The person in this poem had a choice between two paths, and they chose the one less traveled, the one that hadn't been worn, the one that it appeared to show that no one had gone down. In your life, you're going to be faced with a lot of choices. What choices will you make? Will you follow the path that everybody's going down? Will you do what everyone else is doing? Or will you stand alone and maybe make a choice that's not as popular? At the end of the day, you're the one that has to live with that decision and that choice. And let's hope you made the best one. All right, so that was a really good poem to get us started in this lesson. All right, so getting back to what we were talking about, it says that, as we read that poem, as we read it, it says we learn that we should be confident in our choices, even if these choices seem unpopular or risky. Keep that in mind. Today, we're going to preview the novel, The Witch of Blackbird Pond by Elizabeth George Spear, and we're going to discuss and write about the word identity. It says we're going to discuss the unit question. All right, so you're going to need a copy of this book, but I have it here. We'll use this. And you're going to also need a copy of the Road Not Taken. I have just read that for you. Your reading log that I keep with me everywhere I go. You want to take notes. And a handout, which I'll show you if we get to that part. All right, so what do you notice about the book cover? Look at it. What do you notice about it? You can also see it here. It's kind of dark and shadowy, right? Yeah. It's showing a picture of nighttime. You have a little girl, which is kind of odd. She's by herself in the dark, in the woods at night. Already, you know, this is something that doesn't seem like it's a good situation. In the distance, you see a light. Even here, you see a light. Where is that light coming from? Is she sneaking around looking at somebody? Does she see someone? Does anybody even know she's out there? There's a mystery about it. Looks a little mysterious, but it is definitely engaging. It makes you want to read it and find out a little bit more about it. And as I stated, we find out that the witch is actually not even a girl, but the book makes it, you know, it implies that she is a witch, but she's not. All right, and it says, based on the cover and the summary, what do you predict this genre of this text is? So let me read it. It says, Kit has grown up on the island of Barbados, loved and pampered by her grandfather. But after his death, Kit must leave. It's not proper for a 16-year-old girl to live by herself. She's heard stories about her aunt and uncle who live in the colony of Connecticut. These are the only relatives Kit knows of. So, alone and desperate, she sets sail to live with them in New England. When she arrives, Kit is shocked by the gray, damp landscape, but even more stunned by the puritanical lifestyle of her uncle's household. Fitting in is not easy until she meets Hannah Tucker, an old woman who lives alone and is the only person who lets Kit be herself. Identity. It says, but the colonists believe Hannah is a witch. If they discover Kit is her friend, they will think the same of her. Kit must choose. Should she abandon her only friend or stand by her and risk losing everything? Wow. Gives more credence to this picture now, right? So maybe she's, in the woods looking at her friend's house. You know, maybe that's why she's alone, because she can't let anybody know that she's heading to her friend's house because people think she's a witch. And if she associates with her, people will assume she's a witch. And she has to choose. What path do you think she's going to choose? She's going to stand by her friend and be loyal, or think about herself? What do you think? What would you do? Would you think about yourself, or would you stand by your friend who's been good to you? And, help people to understand who she really is as well. There are times in your life where you may be faced with that very question. You have to choose which road you're going to travel. All right. So let's talk about the word identity. What does the word identity mean? What does the word identity mean? All right. So identity is how a person defines themselves. It can be tied to their name, to their family, to their cultural and religious beliefs and backgrounds. And so remember, that identity is all about who you are. So again, in this time of pandemic, in this time of self-isolation, this is a great time for you to find out who are you, because you don't have a lot of your friends around you that you can identify with. Some people don't have the sports leagues and things that they were involved in to identify them. So now you're faced with, who am I? What do I identify as? And so this is a good time to think about that. So I want to ask you a series of questions in your reading log, which is right here. It's where I want you to write this. It says, what does the word identity mean? Again, we said it's how a person defines themselves. It can be tied to their name, their family, cultural and religious backgrounds. Also, start with this. Identity is, and then you complete the rest. So this is just a sentence starter to help you get it started. Again, 6th graders, we need what type of sentences? Complex sentences. I want to see some subordinated conjunctions. I would like to see some appositives. I want to use some really interesting vocabulary words. Dig deep and do your best. All right. So again, what is your identity? What are the things in your life that influence your identity? Well, if I think about myself, I'm a teacher. That's how I identify. I love working with students. I love helping them learn new things. I love anything associated with that. So that's a part of my identity. That's not all that I am, but that's a part of it. What are some things that you like to do? What are some things that people could recognize you in or recognize you as if they were to identify you themselves? Think about that. Okay, so this says reread this paragraph that we read earlier, but we've already done that. And it says, think about and jot notes in your reading log in response to this question. What does the road not taken teach us about what shapes our identity? Remember, the person in the story had a choice. They had two roads. They had one that looked like it had been worn, and then one that wasn't. And they chose to take the one that was less traveled. So, when we think about that, what does that teach us about what shapes our identity? I think it's choices, right? Yeah, it's choices. Who we choose to be our friends, how we choose to spend our time, what we choose to do. Choosing to stay home and obey, all of the orders that are out right now, or venturing out and being disobedient. Those are choices. You know what I mean? Just depending on where you may be. Those are choices. Each choice has a consequence. What do you want your consequence to be? Do you want it to be a good one or a bad one? Everybody hopefully wants a good consequence. So that means you have to make good choices. So choices lead back to our identity. All right. So again, in a group or with your friends or even within yourself in your log, if you want to take a moment and write down what we just mentioned about how the road not taken teaches us about what shapes our identity, you can do that at this time. So think about some of the choices you've made, some of the friends you've had or that you've had over the years, or things that you've chosen to do, even while you're at home. What does that say about your identity? Good thoughts. All right, so we're going to use the question handout. Let's see, the thought web and respond to the question in your reading log in paragraph form. What does the road not taken teach each of us about what shapes our identity? And so for you guys at home, just pull out your journal as I stated, write the word identity in the center, and then just talk about each thing that helps you to realize what your identity is. Think about your choices. All right, and so with that, I want to conclude. Do you know who you are? In the story, The Witch of Blackbird Pond, Kit had to figure out who she was. And she migrated to people who let her be who she was and not who they wanted her to be. So think about your own life. Do you know who you are? And as a teacher, I know so many times I would hear kids complaining about, oh, but someone made fun of me, someone called me a name. And my question is, but do you know who you are? Now, I don't agree with bullying in any shape or form, but I would ask the student, do you know who you are, though? Because it's not what people call you, it's what you answer to. If you know who you are, nothing anybody can say will ever deter you, because you have a sense of identity. Take this moment in this time to really dig deep and find out who you are, what you like, what you want to do. And when you come out of this situation, you will be a much better person because of it, because you took the time to realize who you are. And I'm telling you, you're a great person. You are intelligent and you are loved. So use that to start your search for your identity if you need to do that. I thank you. This is the end of my lesson today. I'm so glad you were with me. And until next time, have a great day.